Hello everyone, Professor Helmling here. So I wanted to record a little video to talk about what our online discussions should look like. A lot of our class activity and a lot of the work you consider when evaluating your performance in the class will take place in our Blackboard discussion boards. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about how to approach your posts in the discussions. First of all, let's find them. Whenever I have an assignment in the course for your discussions, you'll see a link there in the breakdown of that given week or whatever. But you can also always find the discussion board by going over here to Resources. And that's where I put static links to important things like that. Ordinarily, you can see this course is still being built. Ordinarily, there will be more in here, but here's our link to our forum. Now, you should definitely think of your posts in the discussion boards as academic writing. You want to be clear. You want to communicate as effectively as possible. You want to support and link your ideas with evidence. You want to follow the standard conventions of published English. You want to be courteous and thoughtful. Every sentence you type is writing practice, and we will discuss and work with them as such. Now, in general, there are two types of discussions we'll have in this class. We're either going to be talking about our readings, or we're going to be doing workshopping. So I'd like to talk today about how to discuss the readings. When we're discussing texts that we've read as a class, we'll find threads already created in the forum for those texts. And you'll want to add your comments, questions, analyses, etc. in the threads I created. So for example, for today, we're going to go to this make-believe discussion thread for a make-believe text. Now, one big thing to keep in mind is that our main interest in reading these texts is in how these authors convey ideas. In a weird way, the ideas themselves are kind of secondary for 1301. We can discuss those ideas, but we do not want our discussion forum to turn into some political debate. Always keep your thinking focused on how authors are crafting their messages and what strategies or evidence are being used to convey those messages. Basically focus on the texts and how they talk to each other. Let's leave our preconceptions and our baggage at the door so we can analyze ideas together. Another important thing is to always read what's already been discussed. It always happens that I have students pop into a discussion of a text with the mindset of, oh, I've got to say something. And they just hit reply right away and make some quick comment to try to get credit. Meanwhile, right above where their post ends up being, there's a back and forth discussion of the exact issue they commented on that's already underway. So the first thing to remember is that you are joining a discussion in progress. Treat it as such. You'll only be able to meaningfully participate in that discussion if you read what others have said. Think about it, then make your contribution. Now, your contribution can be a comment to amplify and agree with what someone else has said, but you need to make sure you have something new to say there. Connect to some new evidence or something. Do not just post something that says, yeah, I agree with so-and-so. Because that's not furthering the discussion. Now, I did just say that you're joining a discussion in progress, except sometimes you're not. Sometimes you might be the one who has to go first. Someone's got to, right? Someone's got to get it started. So don't be shy. When you're the first person to post in discussion, then you get to pick the first thing we'll look at. Think of it as an honor. So here in this example, you can see that I'm doing that in this thread. Now, one of the most important things we can do in one of our discussions is to ask questions. Maybe there's something about the text you don't understand. So let's say that's the case. So let's pretend with whatever I'm reading for this example, I have a question. So I'm going to click reply, and right in here, I am going to explain my problem. I don't get what the author means. Boom. Is that a great post or what? Hopefully a little voice in your head is answering, or what? We want our comments and questions to be specific, so I'm going to try to improve on it. I don't get what the author means on page 3. Better? Not really, right? Still a long way to go. So let's get much more specific and much more academic. I don't get what the author means on page 3 when she says that her relationship was, quote, less than harmonious. Boom. Oh, now this is much better. I have quoted the text. You've got a clearly focused question here and specific text reference. So it's good. It's much better. We can actually start discussing from here. Other people could answer by sharing their thoughts about what they think that line really was, why that line was important to the author's purpose. But I think we can go even further. We can make this even stronger. So let's frame that question a little bit better. Is that meant to be an ironic way of describing her mother? Question mark. Ah, now that is gold. It's short, it's to the point, but it's very clear and specific. That's what we want to strive for. Now, there are other types of questions we can ask. In this example, we were asking about something we didn't understand, and that's great. Now, when I tell students to ask questions in discussion boards, sometimes some of them try to think up like trivia questions, as if they're trying to write a quiz on the text. That's not what we're looking for. We don't want simple recall questions. We want to be striving for understanding. And in any text we're studying, there will be ambiguities, things that require interpretation. So we can also ask questions about those interpretations. Now, I should only ask one question at a time so that replies can be threads to it. Sometimes when I'm doing that, though, things can get a little confusing. So let's see how well this holds up. Oh, good. It's going to give me a completely new post. Nope, it didn't. It gave me that same post. Okay, well, we can fix this. All I have to do is I just go back out here. I go back in here, and I come back in. You shouldn't have to do that. It's just for the example. So there we go. So I'm going to ask a little bit of a more sophisticated question that's about some of these ambiguities. I'm going to say, on page 8, when she describes the process her mother went through with the agency, again, this is just a made-up text, don't worry about the details, do you think this shows the author coming to terms with her mother's sacrifice? Ooh, now that's a good question. Or, I mean, we assume it is because, again, it's all made up, but it sounds smart, right? Now, it can get even better, though. What if we give some more thinking about this question, maybe a tentative answer? I feel like she may have intended it to do that, but I don't think she really builds on that idea through the rest of the essay. Ah, even better. Now I've got an evaluative about the quality of the essay and the way that the author builds on these moves. So that's a really good, concise question. And then I can go in here and reply to either of these questions if I was seeing them from someone else and build this discussion and start going. And one of the great things about Blackboard's discussion forums is that they build little threads underneath the questions. So you'll see who's replying to who, and they'll get nested. Now, of course, posts don't have to include questions. You can make comments with your observations or your analysis or your evaluation. We want to practice all those moves in academic writing that are so important in these discussions. And you want to do it in response to each other. A good discussion will have back and forth. It will have threads going several layers deep after the first post. A good discussion will grow as you interact with each other. So remember, don't just try to post your thoughts and walk away. Carefully consider what others have said and build on it, further it, counter it, come back to it. Basically, the point of the discussion boards is to capture and share our thinking. Set that as your goal every time that you sit down to discuss with the class, and you'll be fine. So get in there and start trying it out, and we'll see you